Well, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look, for the first time ever on the channel, at the PRR Q2 Duplex locomotive. This is a brass hybrid from Broadway Limited and Paragon4 with DC and DCC. So this also has smoke. It is in both production and prototype versions. So let's take a look at these locomotives from Broadway Limited starting right now. Locomotives are very long, so we're going to have to use the box as a display stand as we go around in circles and show you the 360 degrees of details. But locomotive pops out of the box just like that. There's a little smokestack filler that comes with it. On the bottom there's like a little trap door, I call it, and it pops out like so. And inside this little trap door is a manual and a function listing, and it's talking about new brass hybrids for next year. There's usually a flyer about the latest and greatest from Broadway Limited. So brass hybrids for next year slated. And here are your functions. There's a pro lighting mode, and then a standard mode for functions. And then you have your manual, which is 31 pages of information and details. But let's get into the locomotive itself here. To get it out of the box, you're going to slide the plastic sleeve off. And what we have here are two sides that'll fall off. Fall away like a couple of solid rocket boosters on a shuttle or something. And then the locomotive itself, very, very large. And the tender is also long. So we're just going to get that off here and reposition everything so you can take a closer look. Alright, the locomotive is now out of the box and sitting on top of the box because it's so long. It surpasses the length of my turntable. It might be longer than the big boy. I don't have one out at the moment, but with the tender length and the locomotive length combined. So as we start on the front, as you can see, the pilot has a high mounted headlight, and then you have the Pennsylvania Railroad shield there on the smoke box door with the smoke box latches and the little stand and low mounted bell below the headlight there. And this is 6182. This is considered the production detail version. There are some slight variations between the production details and prototype detail version. But as you look closer here, you can see the pilot has coupler with magnetic glad hand. You've got coupler cut bars as it appears, or maybe it's grab irons molded in there. You got your lead trucks, pistons, eccentric crank and side rod detail. There's a handrail here for crews to basically walk along that very thin walkway and hold on to something for dear life. Smokestack here. Got your boiler jacketing along the edges there, along with some plumbing. And your drivers with counterweights there. As we work our way towards the back, you got your firebox with all the stay bolt detail, ash pan running below, some plumbing there, your trailing trucks. Blow down valve, water will come out of here. Got a crew figure installed. And that really nice highlighted area around the cab window There's separately applied grabs for cab access. They basically come up on the tender and walk across the drop step there, or tread plate I should say. As you rotate back, you can see the cab figures, but you can see the rear door windows as well, and the rear of the locomotive with the nice side profile there. Then as we get to the tender, got Pennsylvania along the side, crew access ladder there, realistic coal load. This wants to take off from me. Got your little doghouse back here, and crew access ladder in the rear with coupler cut bar and MU hoses. See the silver tipped ends there, brake line hose, and more of the same detail on the other side here. You can see the really low riding appearance of that tender. Those trucks are only showing about maybe half the wheels. As we go up on the other side, there's more detail and undersill detail on the locomotive as well. So you see a lot more plumbing, and you can see a lot more detail along the side of the boiler jacketing as well, including the throttle. So that takes a little turn there, and that controls the locomotive's speed in real life. So there we are back to the front here. I'm going to swing around back to the front because you can get a front view with the headlight, which is LED as well. And just a front little vent area, but pretty nice detail on this brass hybrid. I've moved the tender aside, and I'm going to shine a little bit of light up in here so you can see the boiler backhead detail and the gauges. So they really go to great lengths. There's the butterfly doors. Great lengths to replicate this locomotive inside and out. So we took a look at 6182, which was the production, and this is the prototype details version. Not a whole lot of changes, just very small details, like there's no blow down valve here on front of the piston area there. But here's a good look from the side profile of the locomotive. So the tread plate does flatten out, as you can see there. There's some wiring actually pushing it up a little bit, but it does stay pretty flat in operation. There's your tender. The box is doing a little bit of a dip in the middle, so that is why you have that going on there. It's not anything with the locomotive, but there's very few differences on the locomotive versions here. So if I can find some more information online, I will put that in print in this video as well. But there is a 360-degree look of this version here. So there's that Keystone PRR road number there on the front of the smoke box door as well. Alright, we have our scale zeroed out here using the box as well. And this locomotive weighs over 2 pounds. It's 2 pounds, 6.1 ounces. It's almost 2.5 pounds, 38.1 ounces, 36, that's just our 1079 grams, so 1,079 grams. Again, 2 pounds, 6.1 ounces, almost 2.5 pounds. There's two ways to start a Broadway Limited locomotive. You can either do the extended startup, which is F9, or you can just start moving the locomotive. We'll do F9 on this. So this locomotive, you hear the engineer walk up on the ballast, get into the cab, turn some knobs. You hear some of the sounds of steam locomotive noises. I can't remember. It's kind of like clanks and stuff going on. Then you hear the dynamo spin up, and then the headlight turns on, and then you got your smoke kind of resting there on the top. I'm not blurring anything out in editing that kind of looks like that. It's just smoke. All right, let's listen to some sounds. We'll just pick a few since we've covered the Broadway Limited Paragon4 decoder before. Here's one. Two. Here's 3, which is coupler sounds. Have to move the locomotive a little bit to get that to go. 4 is air pumps, which you can hear going off right now. 5 is blow down at idle. 6 is water fill at idle. 7 is smoke on and off. We'll go ahead and turn that off for now. 8's master volume mute. 9's the startup and shutdown we talked about. 10 is coal fill at idle. 11 water injectors. 12's brake set, brake release. 13 is grade crossing whistle. Zero is the headlight, which you hear the dynamo spin up when it goes on and spins down when it goes off. 14 station sounds. 15's yard and radio chatter, 16's maintenance chatter, 17's radio check, 18's city radio chatter, 19's farm. 20 is industry sounds, 21's lumber mill sounds, 22's secondary whistle. We'll do that. So 23's short whistle toot, which you heard earlier. 24's rear tender class lights on and off. 25's long whistle. 26 records. 26 and 27's record and play back macro. So it's the sequence you can play. And 28 is brake squeal. All right, we're going to test slow speed control at 128 speed steps setting. But speed step 1 out of 128 on my NCE Pro Cab. So 2.3 miles per hour. You can also see the puffing smoke there on the other side. Synchronized puffing smoke. Check reverse here real quick so you can see the reverse light. You can see the light that's in the doghouse and the rear marker lights. Also, there's a cab light that goes off at 3 speed steps, but it'll stay on otherwise. Little mood lighting for you so you can see the cab lit up. You can see the cab figures there. And here's the doghouse. Here's a view from the back with the rear marker lights, the tail light, and the doghouse. And then we'll zoom in and take a look at that beautifully detailed cab. Now you're curious about a pull test, we'll go ahead and move this. Holy smokes. Never understood how Broadway Limited's pull tests were so incredibly high. That is like insane. Again, 15 cars per ounce, and it's going around 15 or more. So theoretically, 300 cars? I don't know. But it is an insane pull test, probably the highest I've ever seen on steam or diesel. Here's a look at the close couple option. There are 2 holes drilled out on the drawbar. So this is the closest option. There, that deck plating is flat also, by the way. Here's a further away outer setting on the drawbar. So as you can see, the deck plate is not in contact with the tender on this outer setting, but it helps navigate tighter curves. I did want to get you a view of the roof here, because I don't think I showed that on the 360 real quick. So there are the safety valves in a row there, the whistle just in front of the cab, and some vents or latches there for the cab as well, right above the cab. A couple of things we don't talk about too much on the Broadway Limited locomotives is the added capacitance and the fact that it can also run in DC. I'm going to demonstrate the added capacitance right now by interrupting track power by simply picking it up. As you can see, the locomotive still goes for a few seconds as it's navigating dirty track without any sort of communication with your DCC control, and then eventually that power does run out. Well, that's going to wrap up our review of the Broadway Limited Pennsylvania Railroad Q2 brass hybrid steam locomotive. This is a beautiful locomotive, highly detailed, crafted mostly in brass, which makes a nice value. Puffing smoke, which can be controlled through DCC. If you don't like it, you can turn it off. LED lighting. Smooth operation, a little quick out the gate, but you can play with configuration variables as needed. And overall, a solid locomotive. So with that said, I'll leave you with a run-by, a double header of these by themselves without any really rolling stock in tow, but we'll run them by, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel. Take care.